When it goes to getting into the community, it's very beneficial for several reasons. Not only do you get to reach the consumer, but you also get to reach those people that are social influencers. The CBOs, there are a lot of community-based organizations out there, faith-based organizations out there that can help us further our agenda when it comes to reaching consumers. And it's important for us to be able to do that. When we go into the community, it allows us to be able to understand who the community actually is. We know that if we sit in our glass building, in our nice office, we're only knowing as much as the consumer as we're reading. We're not knowing the consumer, hearing it from them. So say, for example, in the African American community, one of the things that people always say, they're very low income, they might not be educated, and there's really not a big market for targeting more affluent African Americans. But that's not true. If you go into the community, you can see that there are a lot of affluent, educated African Americans, just as there are those who might be low income and only have a high school diploma. But we have to make sure that we're going in there and we're not scared to go in there. Clients are always saying, we want to reach hard to reach, hard to reach. If we're not able to really go to where hard to reach populations really exist and where they live, how can we be successful at that? It's not always about sending out a press release or trying to get something published in the paper, because if they're hard to reach, one, they might not be reading a paper. They may be utilizing their cell phone only to talk, not as a way to actually communicate, because now you're talking about more money for texting, more money for a media package or bundle. So we have to make sure that we're actually there to be able to say, this is what it is that we're doing. This is how we're trying to make a difference. If it's going to the projects, sometimes you have to do that depending on what the products and services are. If it's going to a WIC center, if it's going to a detention center, if it's going to the youth authority. These are places that people don't like to go, but at the end of the day, we have to go there. We have to be able to talk to all consumers when we're dealing with our clients, all communities when we're dealing with our clients. And that's very key. And then again, going back to that, one of the things my boss always tells me, people should be out. People should not be sitting in this office all the time. Because if you're sitting in this office, how are you building those relationships? And it's not just with the community. Again, it's with those social influencers. It's with the media. We are supposed to be talking to media. We're supposed to be talking to the community. If we're not building those relationships, at the end of the day, it's not going to work. Well, one of the things that we're definitely seeing is that when it comes to, let's say, an older population, that they really are now getting involved in social media. It might not be at the level that the younger people are, but they are involved. So now that's telling us that we can target someone that's 55 plus in a lot of different ways. When you look at AARP, they actually have a community on their website for individuals to be able to go on there to talk to other people that are part of AARP. 5 years ago, you would have never had that, because they would have said, people that are 50, 55 plus, they're not online. They're not communicating with people that way because they still pick up a phone. Well, they do still pick up a phone. They still do pick up a paper. But at the same time, they're still involved in social media. So I think that's one of the greatest opportunities that we have as well, is reaching out to that population in a different way, in a different form. And then also looking at how social media is changing to where it used to be something that people would say, social media is for people that's 12 to 24. Well, those people that are 25 to 35, 25 to 54 are also using social media now as a way to communicate, as a way to start businesses, as a way to help their businesses grow. So it's definitely something that is going to be important now and in the future. And everyone has to recognize that that's important. My president and CEO started a nonprofit, the Lagrant Foundation. And he started that because he wanted to increase the number of African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, Native Americans in the field of PR, advertising, and marketing. But he just didn't stop there with providing scholarships. He also provided opportunities. So now people are able to get internships, they do career development workshops. There's a lot of different things that goes along with getting that scholarship to help prepare them for what the real world is like in the PR industry. I think also some of the things that we have to do is to think of PR in non-traditional terms. When you first started out, if it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or even 10 years ago, PR is so different now than what it was then. And we have to be able to show these young kids how they can use things that they have a passion for and utilize that for PR. That's very key, because we know they're all into the texting, they're into Facebook and Twitter. How can we take their passions and transcend that into PR. Gaming is huge. That is not going anywhere. And one of the things that we do see in PR is that there's not a lot of men in the PR industry. How do we get men in the PR industry? Well, if they're gamers, how do we tie that passion into PR and exposing them more to the different things that they can do? And then also I think it's key as PR practitioners that we also remind them at the end of the day, they're still communicators. And they have to communicate in a way that people can understand. And that's written and verbally, because when you tweet in 140 characters or less, sometimes those words don't come out that you can recognize, and that's very key. So that's one of the things that we're actually seeing with a lot of young people, because we have a lot of interns and things of that sort that come through the agency, and it's the writing. You know, they write as if they're still talking to their friends, and that's very key for us to make sure that they understand there's a way and a place for all of that. And then also I think it's up to us to make sure that they understand what the real world is like. So when they come to work, there's an appropriate way to dress. You know, we know now the younger kids, people don't wear suits anymore, people don't get dressed up anymore. After 5, what are after 5 clothes? I don't have those. I thought after 5 clothes were $200 pair of jeans and stilettos. That's not necessarily true. So I think it's a big circle of things that we have to show the younger generation of PR practitioners about the industry.